Hello and welcome to Unworthy History. Today we got some actual history from this book right here, Indian Depredations in Texas by J.W. Wellbarger, published back in 1889. Now today's story takes place in present-day Mills County, and it occurred in 1863 during the middle of the Civil War. The late Civil War had called many of her bravest sons to fight her battles in distant states, and during the year 1863, the then frontier country of Lampasas, San Saba, and Brown counties was the scene of almost monthly visitations by the Indians. The light of the moon was the time most suitable for their forays, and on every such occasion the few settlers had to use the utmost caution to keep their saddle horses, often tying them to the logs of the house, and not infrequently watching them the whole night through. In March 1863, the people of Hanna Valley were suddenly aroused by the report that Indians were in the neighborhood. In a very short time, armed with rifles and six-shooters, the following hardy frontiersmen were in the saddle, to wit, Owen Lindsey, Albert Jones, John Jones, David Hanna, Powell, Robbins, Martin, Isaac West, Jim Robbins, Jim Williams, and Pick Moss. The trail was soon found, and by these skillful mountaineers was easily trailed. A.J. Jones and Owen Lindsey, being better mounted, outrode the others, and near the mouth of Pecan Bayou the Indians were discovered, dismounted and trying to climb the steep mountainside. Lindsey and Albert Jones still led in the chase, and the other boys came as fast as they could ride. The Indians numbered 11 and were well protected by boulders and projecting cliffs. No halt or parley seems to have been made by these two fearless leaders, but they charged the Indians who stood their ground and made no effort to escape. Owen Lindsey was shot and instantly killed, his body being transfixed with an arrow, and his head being wounded with a stone hurled by the Indians, for he was now within 30 steps of them, and they were still higher up the mountainside. The blood-covered ground near where Lindsey fell showed that he too had brought down one Indian. Albert Jones was shot in the left leg with an arrow, which he pulled entirely through his leg, and which was a most serious wound, but he finally recovered and is now entirely well. Powell was wounded in the arm and Bobbins in the side, but both recovered. David Hanna's horse was killed from under him. The Indians escaped and left some bridles, blankets, and lariats as the only trophies for the whites. If any Indians were killed or wounded, the survivors carried them away with them. The Texans' arms failed to fire on several occasions, and this fact, added to the fact that they attacked uphill, a well-armed body of men equal in numbers to their own, and well concealed behind rocks, made this fight a very unequal and disastrous one to the frontiersmen. Most all the Texans who were in this fight are still living in Brown and surrounding counties. Albert Jones lives on his old place now, perhaps in Mills County. David Hanna and John Jones live in San Saba. These marauding bands of Indians are happily now unknown in Texas, but the battleground where poor Lindsey fell, bleak and barren as it is, remains a lasting monument to the memory of a gallant young man who shed his last drop of blood in trying to rid the frontier of the marauding Indians. So that's the end of this story. This was just a very short story about a battle that took place back in Mills County in 1863. And here it seems that the Indians sort of won this battle with Owen Lindsey killed, but possibly one of their own being killed as well. So if you want to hear more episodes like this, then be sure to like and subscribe. And we'll see you next time on Unworthy History.